Good morning, aspirants. It's 18th of September today, and I welcome you all in today's edition of What to Read in the Hindu newspaper. While going through the articles, we will not only see its relevance with regard to prelims and mains, but we'll also try interlink it with other GS papers. I am here to align your newspaper reading as a part of our GS syllabus. So let's get started. The very first article that is there in the paper and that catches our attention talks about amid US tariffs row, PM pushes local production. Now, this particular article is relevant with regard to GS Paper 2, Polity and Governance, wherein self-reliance, Swadeshi narrative, Atmanirbhar Bharat, India-US relations, trade disputes, and tariff issues can be understood and underlined. For paper 3, this particular article is relevant in the regard wherein textile reforms such as scheme wherein PM Mitra Park scheme that majorly talks about increasing employment, exports, and making India push. We even are trying to push ourselves with regard to manufacturing competitiveness and global supply chain. WTO protectionism versus domestic industry promotions. The next important arena where this particular article holds importance is with regard to paper 3, wherein this PM has tried to interlink it with Operation Sindoor as well. So we can link it with security paper as well, wherein counter-terrorism, cross-border strikes, India-Pakistan security dynamics can be understood. From prelims perspective, the filtering areas that I can find out from this particular article and wherein we have to put our attention is about PM Mitra scheme, its launch year, which ministry governs it, what are the objectives of it. Then secondly, WTO rules on tariffs, most favored nation, that is MFN clause, Operation Sindoor, factual information, little bit of with regard to it. From mains perspective, the same article is to be seen through the lens of evaluating Swadeshi and domestic production in achieving 5 trillion economy goal, India-US trade frictions, its implication for India's growth. In this manner, this particular article is to be holistically seen, mapping all the possible GS paper relevance with regard to its prelims and mains perspective. Moving on, the next important article that is there in the paper and that holds attention in for our exam talks about Karnataka caste census, Lingayat Panchamasalis decide on nomenclature. Now, this particular article is very much relevant with regard to GS paper 1, primarily society, wherein caste as a social issue could be understood. Then role of politics in caste also can be understood. Afterwards, this needs to be seen with regard to identity politics as well, socio-religious movement in modern history context can be linked. This is relevant for GS paper 2 as well, wherein polity and governance can be mapped, in particularly talking about caste census, debates on reservation, affirmative action, SEPC list, that is socio-economic backward list, how it is being upgraded and all, religious caste overlap, Lingayat as an issue, and they demand for a separate religion. So all these angles are to be understood. Also, this can be linked with a federalism concept as well, wherein there could be a possible angle wherein center and state are often at conflict with regard to conducting caste census can be linked. For prelims perspective, we need to know the type of census. For instance, census of Registrar General of India versus socio-economic caste census. What are the differences between the two? Afterwards, historical Lingayat movement can be read and revised. Role of Basavana, �11𝗏𝗏ism. From mains perspective, the same article is to be seen through the lens of should India go for caste census? There is balance between equity, politics, and governance. How this is to be maintained? Caste, religion, identity in shaping socio-political outcome altogether. Now, in this manner, this particular article is to be holistically seen. Moving on, the next important article that is there in the paper is that is relevant for our exam is on editorials page, and that majorly talks about let Geiger counts, not guesses, shape Iran. Now, this is relevant with regard to GS paper 2 IR, wherein India's energy security and West Asia policy can be read and revised. We can even interlink it with multilateralism as well, wherein role of IAEA, UN sanctions, when India is trying to balance US, Iran, Western powers, Israel, and Gulf state. For GS paper 3 as well, this holds so much relevance with regard to security and science and tech. When it comes to security, so West Asian politics altogether, we have a lot of projects going on in the form of Chabahar port with Iran, and at the same time, with regard to science and tech part, we can look for a role in IAEA, its relevance, and in this manner, this particular article is to be holistically seen. So, from prelims perspective, we need to know the body, where what is IAEA, its role, its functions, etc. Then, from geography point of view, we need to know and look at the location of Strait of Hormuz, its geographical mapping. From mains perspective, the same article can be seen with regard to India's stake in Iran nuclear issue, evaluating the role of IAEA in reducing nuclear escalation risk. In this manner, this particular article is to be holistically seen. Now, moving on, the next important article that is there, and we must go through, talks about role of tech in healthcare. So this majorly talks about welfare at the mercy of machine, primarily relevant for GS paper 2 governance, wherein use of technology in welfare delivery, issues of natural justice, digital exclusion that we are seeing in rural hinterland, and also with regard to gender, National Family Health Survey, ICDS, integrated child development reforms, these all angles are to be seen for GS paper. For other arenas such as malnutrition, right of women and children, for paper 3, tech and ethics with regard to paper 4, data privacy, ethical issues of facial recognition. If we implement on tracking of this particular scheme, and with regard to health, how it is going to be affecting positively and negatively both. From prelims angle, we need to know about Poshan Abhiyan, global ban of facial recognition system that has been seen, epic cases, San Francisco. For mains perspective, the same article is to be seen through the lens of examining whether tech solves structural governance issue in welfare delivery or not. Or we can debate on balancing efficiency versus dignity in public service delivery. In this manner, this particular article is to be holistically seen. Now, moving on, another important article that is there in the paper, and that primarily talks about the hard truth about out-of-pocket expenditure. Now, this is relevant with regard to GS paper 2 governance, wherein health is seen as a public good. National health policy that has been developed, Ayushman Bharat, this scheme is to be read and revised. For paper 3, economic perspective, the same article is to be seen through the lens of poverty trap, financial protection in healthcare, data reliability with regard to NSSO, National Health Survey, National Family Health Survey, etc. Afterwards, for paper 3, the same article is to be seen through the lens of Sustainable Development Goal 3, wherein universal health coverage has been discussed. For prelims perspective, we need to know about the definitions and all the healthcare surveys that has been conducted in India. From mains perspective, the article that the angles that we have to keep in mind while going through this particular article, we got to examine critically whether India's healthcare policy that is there is good enough to cater to all the segment of society. Then afterwards, What are the financial challenges the healthcare system is facing altogether? Why out-of-pocket expenditure still remains a high despite insurance expansion that we are seeing. In this manner, this particular article is to be holistically seen. And the last important article for the day is about Malabar region and a little known resistance in Malabar region during the run-up to independence. Now, this particular article is relevant with regard to GS paper 1 history, where different peasant movement, Khilafat connection, regional variation in freedom struggle, afterwards peasant versus communal communal issues that arose in modern history. So GS paper 1, wherein society, when we have to link this particular article, can be seen through the lens of Hindu-Muslim unity in anti-colonial struggles. All those movements can be filtered out. Afterwards, for GS paper 3, identity politics and colonial narratives in shaping communal fault lines in India can be read and revised. From prelims perspective, the basic facts and data about Malabar rebellion, Mopala rebellion, leaders associated with it. Afterwards, Khilafat movement is also linked with it. So you got to see it as well. From mains perspective, we have to analyze geographical regions and debates with regard to Malabar rebellion, the spread, how it influenced the later part of our freedom struggle, what is agrarian, religious, and anti-colonial movement that were there in the modern India. We got to give a balanced view with regard to it. So in this manner, this particular article is to be read and revised. This is all from my end from today's Hindu newspaper. Till we meet for the next time, take care and goodbye.